Like dipping your like you're trying to get into like a cold pool or something, like a little bit at a time. Like I feel like I just keep lowering the SDR content brightness slider in that screen until I stop noticing how different it is, and then I'll lower it a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, because I feel like that probably will help.
Yeah, hopefully there is a fix for that. One funny thing I noticed is that like I feel like there's certain bits of content that I've been watching because I'll have the HDR on, right, for just like normal browsing, or I did at least whenever I was first starting, and I would swap the shit from like one to the other monitor, and I noticed that like some content looks so much better with the HDR on, and then you swap it back over to the SDR monitor, and it looks like it looks like worse, right? And then like the vice versa, and I was like. And in my head, I was like, is it because of the color depth now that like most of these people are editing on like probably an SDR monitor, and so like they don't see what it looks like on an HDR monitor? Is that what's happening? Because some shit looks really funky when you swap it over to HDR. Like some of the colors look really funky, and then like I don't know like what's really going on with that. So like I'm trying to figure out like a really good middle ground, but it just seems like some video content looks really good in HDR and some doesn't. It just seems like a
it could be the way they're color grading it. I mean, I don't have to deal with it as a single monitor, as a leading revolutionary in the minimalism space.
Absolutely not.
I can say that I've never encountered this issue, but I could see that being annoying. And I also have to wonder, like, does it have to do with the way Windows is tracking, like if you launch something, like say you're watching YouTube and you launch it on your LCD non-HDR monitor, is it?
I would assume it goes by your main monitor.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I honestly have no
idea. I would
idea.
assume, I don't know.
And also if you, I assume you can enable HDR per monitor, but like if you use HDR, like auto HDR through Windows, does having a one HDR and one non-HDR monitor fuck with that at all? Like
I think so. If I had to guess, the way that the auto HDR works is similar to the way that the hotkey works to turn on HDR, which is it will turn HDR on for all monitors.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can do it individually. Actually, oh my god, I can keylog this.
Yeah,
I can make a program for this.
Yeah,
and then
you for sure could.
Yeah, so I could just do that. But as it stands right now, the default to the way that it works is it will switch all of them on. Otherwise, you gotta go.
What is it? Windows key what?
It's Windows Alt B.
Huh. Interesting.
I think it's only for Windows 11.
Yeah, I feel like I could set that macro on my Stream Deck or something and just have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Have it just toggle off and on. But I mean,
you have a Stream Deck?
Yeah, I've had one for a year or two.
How do you like it?
Maybe two now.
I never could think of like a use case for it or anything.
I literally got it because I'm a single monitor, Chad. And I still wanted to be able to monitor like temps and stuff without it having to hover on the screen of the game that I was playing. So I literally basically just use it for the hardware monitor stuff. So like,
hell yeah.
I mean, I used to have it set up for like other stuff too, but I found that it wasn't as useful for I'm not a streamer, so I think if you're a streamer, there's a lot of use case for it, or if you do like video editing work or things like that, I could see it being really useful, but I don't. So, but I really like it. I mean, I have like CPU clocks, temps, GPU clocks and temps, percentage usages. Yeah, I mean,
that is a really good use case. I'm like neurotic about that shit now.
Yeah, me too. And it's kind of good and kind of bad because I'm constantly looking at it. But once you once you kind of understand the way that a game affects your hardware, you can kind of stop checking it all the time, you know. But like the first time I boot up a game, I'm like, okay, let's see. Like,
We got it. Yeah.
like compiling shaders, bro. Holy fuck. I that shit gets my CPU up to like 80, like 80, 85. And I was like, okay. Like Stalker 2 specifically was
You're talking about your temps?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that shit 100%.
But I could maybe in a I don't know, a year or so I'll do a cooler upgrade because I have a pretty I mean it's a good cooler, but it's not like high airflow or anything like that. So anyway. God, I'm like completely all in on like thinking about computer bullshit again. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's funny how it just pulls you in when you do any kind of work on your computer. You're like, ah, yes. What else can I do? You know.
And plus, like it's just like almost every single time I learn about anything new to upgrade the PC with, like there's you could spend like 8 hours learning about it. It's like
absolutely
easy, not even like just off the rip. You could just spend like so much fucking time.
What's like that meme where it's like, okay, I just spent 3 straight days tinkering with my computer. Now time to play League of Legends, you know, or whatever. Like it's like literally like you spend more time fucking with it and learning about it than gaming in a lot of cases, and then actually using the hardware.
But, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I did one thing that did hurt in my soul was starting up and testing like Cyberpunk and shit, and then the frames dropped by like 30.
Dude, yeah, man. Ultra wide resolutions are tough, actually. That was something that I learned pretty quickly because I had an ultra wide before this, and as my CPU and GPU started to get old, you feel it faster, honestly. Yeah, it's tough, but I think the trade off. I mean, ultra wide, I could take or leave. But OLED is a must, and I feel like there's no reason to have anything below a 1440p monitor at this point. Like they're so inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it feels like every card is essentially graded for a 1440 anyway. Like I don't think anyone is thinking whenever they're thinking about like performance on like any 40 series card, you're never thinking about 1080. That's just not.
No, it would be happening. It would be crazy to play. The only thing I could think of, I wonder do you think like pros, like CS pros, still play at 1080 on like a 23-inch screen at like 900 FPS? You think they?
Don't some of them still play on that wacky ass fucking ratio?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? It's like the tunnel one.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe so.
Yeah. They do some like super weird shit like that. But yeah, it's like it's not 16:9. It's like some weird shit like. Oh my god, I can't think of it right now.
Is it like it like a perfect square or something, or no?
It is a square, yeah, right? I'm almost positive it's a square because it's meant to emulate the old CRTs like back in the day.
Yeah.
It's for like old CS.
I will say you will find that gaming on an ultra wide monitor, it kind of is harder to be competitive. Like if you're getting really into stuff, like you'll kind of start
because of your eyes wandering too far.
Yeah,
like
pretty much. Yeah. I think so. Like especially like MOBAs, like where you need to look at the mini map a lot. I find that it becomes harder to get there as quickly. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can 100% see that. But in terms of like immersion so far,
oh my god,
like playing Stalker and like just being able to like your eyes wander a little bit and you still have like almost full view. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that feeling, like oh dude, and it makes like looking off into the distance feel a lot cooler too. Like that shit just I am absolutely ultra wide pilled for sure.
Yeah. I've gone back and forth on it over the years, but I do really like it. I like the way it fills the screen. I think I could do. I don't know. I could probably do a 32 non ultra wide, like non curved, and be a bit happier than 34. But
you don't like the curve?
It's fine. It's a very slight curve as well, but I don't know. I I think 34 is really just too wide. Like it feels like wide and skinny. You know what I mean? Like it's like wide and then not tall, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, people like that. I think I would do 32 and like to have a little bit more of a square. But it doesn't. I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I feel like there's no. I've never been like this is the perfect setup. You know what I mean? Like it's never happened. Like I'm getting closer, but
I feel like in my mind it's like, oh, the perfect setup is just having one extremely wide monitor, right? And it's like even in my head, if I think about that practically, I'm like, no, there's like no way.
Dude. So we know somebody who has like that super like 42.
Anna has like the fuck huge one. Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I can't.
And then have you seen her stream? Have you seen her stream the games? It's really fucking hilarious. Yeah, because the ratio is so fucked up.
Yeah.
But when she plays League, she can see almost all the way to mid lane while she's at bot. It's crazy, dude.
I don't know. Yeah. That's too much. That's too much. But Godspeed. I mean, if you like that shit, then Godspeed. I imagine watching a fucking movie on that thing.
Yeah, we watched some Arcane last night, but I feel like I didn't get the full effect because Crossley was the one that was streaming it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to like watch some like cinema on this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm not like entirely sure. Like, do you have HDR on for movies, or do you just like do you go SDR for movies? I don't even know how that works.
I mean, yeah, you should have it on. Yeah. I don't think I've ever watched a movie on this screen. I don't really watch movies at my computer anymore. So, but it'll look good. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'm weird. I kind of prefer watching movies at my desk. So
we're back. Crossley, you're being awfully quiet. Just kidding. Thank God we got rid of that guy.
Yeah, did you see the way he stomped off?
Yeah, dude. God, man, it's so embarrassing. It's like a toddler throwing a tantrum. You know.
True. He'll be back. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, we'll see him. We'll see him again, I'm sure. No, Crossley's gone. He's taking care of some stuff. But we wanted to get together real quick because I feel like there's a lot of games that we could talk about, and Crossley doesn't give a shit about any of them. You know, like he doesn't even play games anymore. He just plays Magic the Gathering.
Which one? Oh yeah, true. That is actually all he plays now.
So I mean, like, why would we even? I feel like okay, so a lot of shit happened this week, right? Like news shit, or like in the last couple weeks since we've recorded last. But I feel like he would like to talk about some of that stuff, like the Game Award nominees. Like he'd probably like to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. We can always put that off to another time.
So we can wait. But I'm bursting at the seams about
Stalker.
Well, I mean that, but I mean the Game Award nominees stuff, like how mad everyone is. I
can talk about that shit right now for sure.
I can talk about that shit forever, dude. Like the level.
We got some controversial picks, bro.
The level of anger. Okay, let's just do that. We'll talk about it with Crossley next week, but let's just say this right now. Can a DLC be Game of the Year?
No.
Okay, we fundamentally disagree.
All right. Well, I'll write my thesis, or that is my thesis. And then, I'll expand upon that. We'll come back next week.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're wrong. That's all I'll say. Okay.
It's not a fucking game. It's literally DLC. Definitionally. Okay. All right. We'll wait. We'll see.
Okay. Well, so next week we could yell at each other. So we don't need to talk about that. I do want to talk about, have you been following this flight sim shit? Have you been looking into that?
So I saw that it was like a major failure. I didn't see why though. Why is it so
Okay.
fucked?
So it's kind of ironic actually, because you saying major failure, I guess, depends on someone's definition. They've sold a shitload of copies, and they have a shitload of people trying to play it on Game Pass. The reason that it's a failure is because they did not anticipate the number of people trying to get in, and they are using uh, a lot of server heavy techniques to make that game work. So like the reason it's not functioning is basically people can't get into the server because of, you know, too many requests, essentially too many people trying to play at the same time. You know, I mean, this happens every time a multiplayer heavy game, like every Diablo that comes out, they go through this on some level. All this shit. But this has been really bad because you can't play any of the content without being connected to the server. So you just can't play your game, basically. So everybody's pissed about it. Um, uh, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 was the last release. It was really popular, but it wasn't on this scale, and it also didn't quite use the same technique for streaming in data. So
Mm-hmm.
what they did basically in 2020, when you loaded up the game, it cached the way the environments are generated. Like, I don't know if you knew this about Flight Sim, but like if you want it to, if you did a flight right now, like from Florida to New York, it would use the local weather data for where we are. Did you know that?
Very cool. No, I didn't know that. That's actually
So
really neat.
it pulls satellite data in, and Google Maps data for like the layout of things. And so in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, it used to cache that stuff locally. Um, and the way I understand how Flight Sim 2024 works, it now is relying on real time streaming in of that data in order to uh, create more like up to the minute um, uh, weather conditions and things like that. So like, pretty cool if you're a simulator fan, because it means that like rather than before when you would like load up a flight, you'd be like, I'm flying from, you know, Panama City, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia, and it would just load all of the data in the minute that you kind of loaded into the mission or whatever into the flight. Now it's constantly streaming in up to date information about what planes are around you, you know, like flight path stuff. Like it uses actual flight path stuff. Um, uh,
So you'll be seeing like planes and stuff that are flying in
yeah,
real time in real
yeah,
life. Oh wow, that's
yeah.
crazy.
I assume for legal and like, uh, I don't know, um, uh, I, I guess national security reasons. There's probably some holes in that data, right? But I mean, like, yeah, the idea being that they pull in some amount of flight path data that's current weather data, things like that. Anyway, everybody's really mad. So I tried to load this up on launch day, and basically the way it happens is you get into this really big like first time load screen, and then it just sits there, and you just kind of you watch it spin. I think I was working at the same time. I think I saw it sit there and load for like 30 minutes or something. Um,
Jesus.
and I never got in, and I was like, man, what the fuck's going on? And this is before like people started putting out statements and figuring out what the fuck was going on. But like I thought it was my computer. I was like, did I fuck something up? But no, it's their servers just getting totally hammered. So, and as I understand, they unfortunately like still haven't fixed it. um and it's been what, since Tuesday or Monday, can't remember. But yeah,
Let's see.
it's kind of it's kind of sad. Like if you go on the Steam page right now, um, yeah, it was Tuesday the 19th. If you go on the Steam page right now, it has 5,000 reviews, which means a lot of people did buy it, but uh
Yeah, it's still not working. So it's been 5
yeah,
days.
yeah. That's tough. That's kind of sad because I think in the long term it's going to be a really strong entry like in that series. Like I'm actually excited to get into it because they've added like missions and stuff. Like you can do like rescue missions, like fly helicopters in and like rescue people out of oil rigs and shit.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I think it'd be really fun to just kind of mess around with that. Um but yeah, I don't know. So we'll see, but that's been happening. Everybody's, kind of upset about it. I mean, people are already kind of upset about Microsoft anyway, so it's kind of funny that they just even a game that everyone's excited to play by them, they can't quite get it there. um
It'll just be one of those things where eventually eventually it's going to be in an amazing state.
yeah, exactly.
This just seems to happen like so fucking often now.
I know. I mean, like I'm not like a network person. Like I don't know a lot about networking. I assume you probably know more than I do, but um it does kind of feel like of all companies that this could happen to, Microsoft should not be one of them. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't it feel like Microsoft should like they own massive data centers. Like it's like when I mean Blizzard is now obviously owned by Microsoft, but it's like at before that when a Blizzard game would have this problem, you'd be like, okay, well, I mean they're not a fucking internet company. But like, I mean, Microsoft owns the infrastructure that so much of the internet runs on. You would think that they would get this right. I don't know.
The super confusing thing to me is like this screams more of like a fundamental issue with the way that everything is being handled, with the way that the data is being handled for the game or with the servers that they're using, because these are not terribly complicated requests. These are very normal requests. Like I understand the request itself is very simple, right? And then you duplicate that God knows how many fucking times across however many clients are utilizing the game.
Yeah.
And the servers. And then this thing might become like extremely complicated. But the actual request itself, requesting the data for like you're at a 2 variable X and Y coordinate, then you basically ask any data center that has the fucking weather on it, hey, at X and Y, what's the weather like? And it'll send it back to you. It's not a very complicated request. In fact, I actually made a website that does that. So it's not difficult. Anyone can really do it. But so to me, that's one of those things where it's like fundamentally there's something wrong with the way that it is handling all of these data requests.
Yeah.
So and I think you're entirely correct. Like, I mean, fuck, like Microsoft has Azure. Like, yeah. In terms of data handling, they should 100% have a full understanding of how to utilize their own infrastructure so things like this doesn't happen.
Right. But, and I mean, I totally get that, like, it's not the same team who works on this game who works on Azure, right? I mean, that's not,
yeah, of course not.
But I mean, they're owned by the same company. Like,
yeah.
In my brain,
you would assume you would have people who like, because you have cloud engineers for this express purpose. People who are very, very well versed in utilizing Azure, so that things like this doesn't happen. So like, and Microsoft is going to have those Azure engineers who are available in order to tell the software engineers this is how you plug and play with the API, so that nothing fucky ends up happening whenever you scale this to hundreds of thousands of people. But yeah, like completely yes. These are not the same people. The people working on Flight Simulator are definitely not the people who are creating Azure for sure. So something broke down at some point in the chain. It's just very interesting to me that like that's what did it. I agree. You would think.
Well, instead of talking about that broken game that neither of us have played, let's talk about a broken game that we've both played a little bit. Stalker 2 Game of the Year? No.
Is it broken for you? Is it buggy at all? I haven't
Man,
ran into anything yet.
I mean,
So
it depends on your definition of broken, I guess. Um,
fix the hitboxes on the anomalies, and that's game of the year.
yeah, and some of that is just kind of how the game has always been. So, Stalker 2, GSC Game Worlds, Ukrainian developer. It's a bit understanding that they've had a trying few years in terms of development. So I think people are giving them somewhat of a pass on this stuff. But I have seen some pretty interesting bugs online and some stuff that I've run into. But before we get into that, have you played other Stalker games? Did you ever?
Yeah, I played Shadow of Chernobyl. I have not. I played Clear Sky, but I didn't actually beat it, so I wouldn't really.
Were you? Tell me if you remember this, because it was causing, like, playing this game is kind of bringing up a lot of memories for me.
Uh huh.
So I played Stalker 1 when it was new. I bought a boxed copy of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl at Best Buy. I say I bought, my mom bought for me, because it was, probably, I think that game came out in 2007. So I don't know if I got it like around launch, but it was probably, let's say, end of 2007, early 2008. Um, and I played that game and fell in love with just how funky that game was, but mostly, especially at that age, how easy it is to get absorbed into the world. Um, and so I became a fan, like a legitimate series fan. Played Clear Sky at launch. That was probably one of the most broken games that you could still complete that ever existed. Shadow of Chernobyl was already in a pretty rough state. Clear Sky was even worse. And then Call of Pripyat was probably their most successful launch to date in terms of, if not sales, I do think it was a more approachable game. But if not sales wise, at least in terms of technical prowess and overall game feel, like, I think Call of Pripyat has a lot of the friction dialed down a little bit in a way that makes sense, right? I would still say I like Shadow of Chernobyl the most, but Call of Pripyat is probably the best game. In like a usual, like, like, let's use the analogy of Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, right? Mass Effect 2 is a better game, but I like Mass Effect 1 a lot more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
But do you remember this? So in high school, I don't know why or how it happened, but do you remember, like, when I convinced, like, all of the random people that we know to play Stalker?
Yeah.
Why was that happening? I was like trying really hard to remember. Was I just obsessed in that moment or something? I don't know, but I remember, like, everyone we know playing Shadow of Chernobyl, probably pirated. Copies
Oh yeah,
of
I
it.
definitely I played it pirated.
But yeah, I don't. I was like thinking back on that. I was like, why the fuck was Schwinn playing Shadow of Chernobyl in class? You know what I mean? Like, because we all brought our laptops to fucking New Point. But anyway, I was thinking
Yeah,
about that.
I don't know. You just had a massive hard on for Stalker.
I did.
So, I don't know what
did.
triggered it, but
I really did. But I was like really trying to get people to enjoy that franchise. And man,
yeah, I played it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Stalker 2 is a fucking incredible follow up, I think.
I agree. I think it's kind of amazing how your first like 20 minutes of the game you're just like, "Yep, I'm playing Stalker." It feels like fucking like unequivocally so uniquely Stalker. It's crazy.
Like, the minute, like, you get in the movement, okay, I'll say this. When it first loaded up and the first thing that happens is like a first person cutscene, I was like, "Uh-oh."
Mm-hmm.
And there is a bunch of that, but it doesn't, it turns out, like, it made me nervous. Like, I was like, what am I getting here? Am I getting Stalker? Am I getting like a AAA Stalker knockoff or something? You know what I mean? But it actually the minute that the cutscenes stop and you start playing the game, it is Stalker. Like it feels like the movement feels like it feels like kind of janky, a little bit too heavy. You know what I mean? A little like inputs are slightly delayed,
Mm-hmm.
but I immediately was like transported back. Like I feel like it made me feel nostalgic without being the same game. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a remake, but it kind of also is. It has seemingly all of the same kind of design ethos that those old Stalker games had as well.
With some new flourish, like the I don't remember the HUD and the minimap being so goddamn good in Shadow of Chernobyl. But
Yeah,
they did a damn good job this time around.
they
Stalker 2.
definitely they modernized it, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the HUD wasn't bad before, but it felt old even by 2007 standards.
Mm.
I think this is where like my memory starts to fail me. I think Stalker 1 was a troubled development. Actually, I don't even know why I'm saying I think. I know it was. Because the reason that Metro exists at all is developers who worked on Stalker 1 for years was like they were like this is never coming out. And so they went and founded a new studio and made Metro. Like legit, that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
So Shadow of Chernobyl was a troubled development. Pretty much it seems like every Stalker game has been somewhat of a troubled development, but this feels like in all of the gameplay ways that it could have come out in a couple of years after their last Stalker game. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But yes, I mean UI, the style of cutscenes, like the first person kind of let's react to things, like lots of heavy animations and things happening, like very tactile. Like in first person, your character picks up like objects and manipulates them, and like does a bunch of things. It kind of reminds me of like that. Did you play that last Metro game, Metro Exodus?
No, I haven't played it.
That was the closest thing to Stalker 2 that I thought we would ever get, honestly. That game fucking rules. And I think if you like this, when you're done with this, you should go back and play it because it is also really good. But
do I have to play the other Metro games? I haven't played Metro 2033 in like Jesus Christ, like 10 years. 12 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me as well. I played 2033 at launch and never again. I played Last Light right before Exodus, and so it did kind of bring some things back for me. But honestly, I don't. I mean, you get the idea. You're like, oh yeah, everything's fucked, and we gotta unfuck it. Like that. This I don't know. It's just kind of. It's like Stalker, like, you know what I mean? Like you load into this and you're like, I don't get it, but all right, but I do at the same time. And there's a lot of like little references in this game in Stalker 2 that you'll miss if you don't have a lot of familiarity with the franchise. But I mean, you fucking figure it out. Like if you're a big boy and you use your context brain, you're like, okay, well, I understand who these guys are and what their deal is without really needing the game to tell me. I don't know. And they add a bunch of new stuff. Like there's new factions. Like I don't remember the Ward being a thing. But anyway, we're kind of running away with this a little bit. So how much did you play so far?
So far I've made it to the first town and talked to both what's his name, starts with a G.
Yeah, Gaffer.
Yeah, there you go. Gaffer, and then the head of the ward, or I guess he's not like the head, he's like a sergeant or whatever.
Yeah.
And I talked to him as well. And so we're figuring out how to get to Salder, basically.
Yeah.
Still trying to find out his like exact location.
Yep. From what I understand, the way that you there's not a lot of huge, like they do present you with a lot of choices in this game so far, but I think it's really the faction choices are the only real branching paths. So I don't want to spoil anything, so whatever, but I will say that the way you choose to proceed from this point does kind of determine how the game plays out in a lot of ways for you.
Okay.
Because I went back and did some reading after I did it one way, just to see, like, okay, what does it look like if you go the other way? And it does seem like they kind of are interested in you playing through the story a couple of times, because it's not like huge differences in the sense that you're gonna miss like massive swaths of content, but more like there's the way things proceed are pretty different. Like, for me, what happens once you figure out Solder's location is kind of a stealth mission. But if you go with the ward, it's more of like a war, like, which is kind of cool. So I would be interested in seeing that stuff. So that's just an example. Like, I don't, but I would say, like, it does seem like there are some interesting divergences. And by the way, there is a faction alignment system behind the scenes, so they don't like surface this stuff very well. I think they could do it better. Like in the old Stalker games, in your PDA, you could bring up your PDA and see where you stand with every faction. You cannot do that, at least from what I can tell. I feel like I've looked at everything, and I do not see a good way of seeing what my stance is with every faction. But there does seem to be, the game seems to be keeping track in the background.
Yeah, for sure. Because you can go and talk to the leaders of whatever fucking faction or whoever you piss off, and then apparently like wipe the slate clean.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
I'm assuming it's like via paying them a certain amount of money.
Oh,
but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, whoever you piss off, you just have to go find out where the hell their leader is and go talk to them.
I gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, and I think that I guess that kind of makes sense because towns seem to be neutral zones. Like, I don't think at any point you should be shooting inside of a town. If they even let you. I wonder if they do let you.
Oh, I don't know, because I haven't tried. I did have someone tell me to put my gun away, and I was like, "Well, buddy, this is a knife." But
Getting your eyes checked, pal.
Yeah, but I put it away anyway.
Put your close range gun away, sir. I guess you never really do see anyone else holding a knife, so maybe they don't know what it is. They're like, holy fuck, this guy's got something. New technology.
I always love small things like that, though. That shit is always just like, fuck yeah, I love video games.
Like having to put your weapon away and walk.
Yeah, the guy's like, hey, put that shit away. Yeah.
That's been a thing since the very beginning. Like Stalker 1, they tell you to do that, and I've ever since then, every game I've wanted that to be an option. Like, it should even in like the dumbest ways, like in games where it doesn't matter, like Ghost of Tsushima. I was obsessed with putting my sword away, even though like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But like I would always push the button to do it. I mean, he'll do it
cool as fuck.
Exactly. He'll do it automatically if you walk around without attacking shit long enough. But like, I wanted to do it.
Dude, the fucking, oh my God. There's one animation that's the sickest fucking animation ever, which is right after you kill someone, he like flicks the fucking sword and the blood comes off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the blood, if there's blood on it, it will cover, like, I feel like it goes onto the environment, right? Like it'll
That's splatter. What I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So cool. So, okay,
I should play that on the OLED.
Yeah, you really should. So, Stalker, did you how have you felt? Like, I mean, you did play Shadow of Chernobyl, but it was a long time ago. Do you feel like there was like an acclimation period for you loading into this game? Like, did it feel clunky
No, it's like I said, like also I played Shadow Chernobyl like multiple times. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like it's in my brain, it's like deep seated. So like it's like I said, like as soon as I started playing it, I was like, this is fucking Stalker,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
This literally this looks like what Shadow Chernobyl looks like in my mind.
Yeah.
Like it was a very weird experience
Yeah.
at first. So like the way that everything played and all that shit, I was just like, yeah, this is about right. um the the initial controls, one thing I don't remember, so you might remember this.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if the flashlight and shit was like that weird where you had to hit tab and hit E and like all this other stuff, or like I don't remember that being a part of the Shadow Chernobyl experience.
You can just hit L if you want.
Oh my fuck, dude. All right, well, thank you. That
Yeah,
works.
you're welcome. Yeah, everything. So I think they did it that way for controller players, which is sick. Why would you want to play this? Well, actually, I know the answer because they had to do it because it's an Xbox game as well. But do not play this with a controller. I mean, just don't do it. Like,
Yeah, no.
like that's I can't wait to, if Crossley ever tries this, I have to yell at him because he will for sure play it on controller, and I'll get sick to my stomach. Yeah, so there's that tab thing that slows down time, and you can switch to your weapons and you could pull out your detector and all that stuff, but there are hotkeys for everything. Like L is the flashlight, the detector is like 7 or something on your keyboard, or you can hit tab and bring it out. There's a lot of stuff. There's hotkeys for healing. The one thing I do not remember, and I don't like this, there's leaning in the game. Like you can lean left and right. It's rather than being a hold, it's a tap, which is fine on its face, but it's Z and C for leaning. Because
I did know that.
Because
yeah.
Q and E are different hotkey items that
Consumables.
consumable items that you can program. So you could be like, okay, Q is health kit, hold Q is bandage. I think that's the default, which is not a bad way to do it. And then like E, I put like water and anti-rad or something like that.
I dig it, dude. And I like it.
It's not bad, except I kind of wish that those were Z and C instead, and the leaning keys were Q and E, because I don't know, to me, like I never remember to lean now because it's too far. I don't know.
There's also contextual leaning.
There is, which is smart.
So yeah,
you kind of don't even need the keys, but every once in a while the contextual leaning won't turn on, and I'll be like, I wish I was leaning right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, it's not that big of a deal. But that just threw me off. I kept trying to lean, and I was healing myself on accident.
Oh, I did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that for sure.
So, but now I've kind of gotten it, and I'm like, all right.
But yeah, the controls are definitely something like, it's clunky. It is clunky. But I mean,
you get used to it.
I don't know if I'm like giving this game like a whole lot of lenience just because it's like Stalker, because I feel like if I loaded up a game, I would have been like, what the fucking dog shit is this? What is this?
Yeah.
Who decided to, like, I would have assumed it was like some sort of like torture scenario. But yeah, I feel like I'm giving it a lot of lenience because it's Stalker, maybe.
I mean,
but still, it doesn't bother me. So
I'm not necessarily one of those people who gets super upset about control schemes generally. Overall, like there's always little things that I like to complain about that annoy me, but like, like the games that people always complain about having awkward control schemes or awkward feeling, movement and stuff like that never really bothers me as much as it does some people. But like, yeah, I mean, to your point, there is a bunch of people online being like, what is the deal with this game? About everything. I mean, like, why is it so janky? Why are there, so many weird little bugs? Or like, why do the people sound like this when they talk? Why this? Why that? I mean,
you're gonna have people playing this game that were born like a year after Chernobyl came out.
Is that true? What year is it? It's 2024. I guess that's true. Yeah, because if you were born in 2008, how old would you be now? Like 14 or something? I don't know. Is that right?
So, and they have the ability to type on the internet, which is wild. Hopefully Donald Trump takes that away from them.
Yeah, is he going to ban the internet for everybody under 18?
Dude, I hope so.
Nice. Yeah,
Wasn't there was some country that was like talking about doing that. Holy fuck.
I kind of remember
can't
that
think
too.
of it now. But I can't think of it now, but I swear to God I read this really recently. But yeah, hopefully they like ship them off to, I don't know. Hopefully what was the island that was doing Cuba? Ship them off to Cuba.
What? Send all the 14-year-olds to Cuba? They get to come back when they're 18? Is that?
Yeah, they can go work on the infrastructure in Cuba for like a little while.
Oh, okay. I think, you know, what if we just and it's easy for me to say this now that I'm old, but what if they just did mandatory military service like everywhere else? So like you know,
you think
like,
we should?
Yeah, like you turn 18 and you have to do like 2 years minimum.
That'd be so fun. You're saying that and you're like 30.
I know.
Hell no, dude. I would have been so fucking pissed. I would have been those people who has fucking shin splints. I would have had shin splints when I was born if that was the case. That's crazy. No, absolutely not.
I mean, you know, it's an option. It's an option.
I think we just need to not allow them to use the internet until they're like 18.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I do think like there's definitely there does seem to be a like level of just my opinion matters so much that is prevalent amongst the youth that I know we also suffered from, but it felt less damaging back then. Maybe I'm just getting old. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is a getting old thing. I definitely had a gigantic sense of importance about myself, for sure.
Absolutely. Some say it hasn't gone away.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if they want to act like that, that's cool. Just don't do it on the internet, please. Or at least we should have like some sort of like I don't know, bio authentication. So like when you get on the computer, that way whenever you post, it just has the number right next to your post, and then I could be like, oh, I could just discard this. There have been so many times where I'm like, I read something stupid as fuck on the fucking internet, and I'm like, I should probably remember that, and this might be copium, but I'm just like, I should probably remember this guy's probably like 14 or 16 years old.
You know what?
Like,
maybe that's what we should do. Instead of banning people from the internet, we should have like, you know how you have like a you have your social security number, right? You should have an equivalent number. I mean, I guess it's your IP address technically, but you know, I mean, they should next to.
But that's not tied to your person, right?
It's not necessarily. No, it's tied to your device, but people can figure out who you are based on that. But they should have like an equivalent, like a social security ID for the internet. So every time you make a post, no matter what account it's from, it's got that number next to it. So people are just like,
that.
All right, we know this guy's a fucking moron.
I would adore that.
That would be very interesting. I mean, the minute that something like that got proposed, everyone would be like, "What is this, fucking China?" You know, like
1984.
Yeah.
No, it needs to be okay. This is the perfect solution. Okay, we will have this. We can have this, and this can be implemented. But it cannot be It will not be implemented on every single site. But there will be social media sites where it is required that you have to put in your I don't know, internet ID.
Sure.
And in order to post there, you have to use your authenticated internet ID. And I guarantee you, those fucking websites will be the websites that become predominantly like the disseminators of information, because you're going to have people who are actually held accountable for the stupid fucking shit that they say on the internet.
Yeah. Like if Blue Sky was smart, they would do that.
Yeah, I think that would be fucking amazing. I actually 100% support that. That way, if you don't want to identify yourself, you can go on the other sites. That's fine. But like Blue Sky and shit, and probably Twitter would probably adopt this as well if I had to guess.
No,
like
no
you
way.
have to. You don't think so? I feel like it could go either way.
Too much of Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk himself has burners that he posts on. Like, come on, like. I mean,
you see him talk shit about Bezos.
Yeah, I mean, right wingers, all they do is post freely under condition of anonymity. Like that's it. I mean, yeah, Elon's gone full mask off at this point, so he's posting on his own personal account all this crazy shit. But like, I mean, there's like a number of burner accounts that everybody.
There's no chance he doesn't, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
people have found a few of them and been like, wow, he talks like good about himself from his other accounts in weird ways. I don't know, just strange.
Yeah, there's no shot in hell he doesn't have like
No.
fake accounts. There's no fucking
and
way.
that stuff goes away overnight if you require authentication for posting. So I mean that wouldn't work. I mean, yeah, it just
have you seen like how Blue Sky is planning on doing their moderation capabilities for like there will basically be groups that you can join that modify the content on the site for you. And
interesting.
So it's like factions of moderation rather than having a overarching like admin. There will be admins, of course, for things like, like child porn and all that and whatever.
Yeah.
But for other things, there will be like factions that you can join in that will be like, we do not tolerate X, Y, and all that kind of stuff. And so you'll never see that stuff. That'll be auto moderated off of the site based on the faction that you join.
Weird. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, of course, like there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, well, that creates an echo chamber and blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah. I mean, it's literally up to you to opt into doing that. So if you don't want to see the stuff, you don't want to see the stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea. And I think everybody has to decide for themselves how much of the unfiltered internet they want to plug into their brain.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say, I do think that some amount of the unfiltered internet, there's a balance that's good for you, right? Like Twitter no longer feels good for you.
Not at all. No.
But it used to. Like pre Elon Musk, Twitter did it wasn't great. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it did feel like you were receiving a decent amount of just free form information. Like people could be wrong. People spread information back then too. Like it wasn't people spread misinformation back then. It wasn't like, everything was squeaky clean, but it felt like a good balance. And it could get better. Like it could have been a better balance, but it was decent, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I think like 4chan is like the polar opposite, right? Where it's like you get every once in a while you get real information, but really it's just a place for people to mess with each other. So it feels like Twitter is more like 4chan now.
Yeah, I think people are just very, very okay with openly saying whatever the fuck that they feel like now, for better or for worse. But from my experience, at least on the site ever since Elon took over, it does seem like people are very okay with saying things that are like anti-Semitic or just straight up like misogynist or bigoted in some fashion, right? They seem very, very okay with going mask off on these things, and it's very obvious that these people are not getting banned for it. So I mean, like saying hateful things is totally okay on that platform.
But now. I mean, like in the same way that that was the thing about 4chan, right? Was like people say that stuff and you could just laugh and roll your eyes and be like, this guy's being an edgelord and we can disregard what he's saying.
Yeah.
Twitter, it feels like the context is different because it's a real website that normal people use. Whereas 4chan was always a troll website for weirdos, right? Which made it entertaining to visit sometimes, but overall you didn't really take it that seriously.
Because they're posting these things with the understanding that everything that I'm saying is taboo. These are not things that are socially acceptable to say. Whereas,
and there's something about it happening on Twitter that makes it like more damaging in my eyes. Like it's like
it legitimizes these ideas as normal thoughts to have as an individual, acceptable thoughts, I guess is the better way to put it. I think all these thoughts are normal to an extent, but in terms of being socially acceptable, it definitely normalizes them in that way, which is I think I agree. I think it is damaging. And I think having I can't really possibly think of the modern conservative Republican movement, especially the ones that follow Trump, as not being hateful or bigoted. And by having the leader of the platform tacitly supporting the the leader of the Republican Party at the moment, it's essentially saying like I also by proxy support all of the ideas of the people that his own constituents, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this has definitely become a rabbit hole, but I would say, um, last thought that I have about this is there's something kind of funny about how openly the people who support Elon Musk's like changes to the platform don't seem to be able want to acknowledge the ways in which it goes against the reasons that he purchased it at the time, right? Like anti-botting, anti-misinformation, you know, um improved like spread of valuable information. Like these were all of the kind of supposed reasons that he wanted to acquire the platform, was like, oh, it feels like not everyone's voice is being heard, and there is a valuable way to get information out on this platform that isn't being realized. There's too many bots that are distracting from whatever the actual conversations are, all this stuff. It's only gotten worse. Like the number of bots on Twitter now is astronomically higher than it was before. Like I feel like that is provable. There's got to be data out there that proves that. But for whatever reason, I mean, I know the reason. Like these people just don't see reality the same way that we do. But
I think that they just don't really actually care about anything. I think all of the things that they purport to support or want to defend, they only do that in the moment as long as it's like something that will support their own personal like ideologies or beliefs.
yeah, yeah.
The moment that like they have the ability to utilize any of these things, like utilizing bots or the dissemination of misinformation, things like this, like they don't care when it comes to censorship and stuff. They do not care if they have the ability to utilize it against their enemy. They like there's no underlying principles that are existing in that moment. And I mean that's not just a problem with people on the right. It's a problem with like like fucking people on the left as well, lay centrism and all that shit. But I mean, like, I would definitely say it's a bigger problem on the right at the moment in terms of like completely debasing yourself, all depending on the moment. But
yeah, I mean, very famously, I feel like everyone who now supports Donald Trump at one point was an enemy of his, either mutual or in one direction. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, stuff like that is very scary.
yeah,
Like I don't fully understand that either. But yeah, it's yeah, they don't care. They don't really give a shit about anything. As long as Trump wins, whatever will secure that victory and secure whatever agenda that he has set forth.
I mean, we're not going to talk about this week because I'm like so hilariously close to the end that there's no point at this point. But this is literally what Metaphor is about, which I think is extremely funny. Like,
oh really?
Like,
you think they were inspired?
I mean, yeah, they were definitely inspired, but it also does feel Kojima-esque in the way that it kind of is a warning, about like reading the tea leaves, like seeing the writing on the wall or the start down this path. Like it does feel like Metaphor is very explicitly about this on some level. Which makes me always wonder, like, if somebody played this, if like a person with who supports Trump and is inherently right wing in nature played Metaphor, what would they get out of it? I'm so fascinated by that idea. Like, what do they get out of it? Because they never seem to perceive themselves as the bad guys in media, even if they clearly objectively are. I don't know.
Isn't one of the things about that game though is that in the central hub of I believe it's like the nation, but that big ass city, there's like a large diverse group of people, but they all tend to not get along, right?
Yeah, but I mean without giving too much away, it becomes clear that the reasons for that are entirely political and generated from a position of power. So like all of that stuff, dividing all of the different classes, all the different races, is a creation by those in charge. Like, it is literally like the most powerful people manipulating the system in order to maintain power, one, and create division amongst the lower classes, two. Like, it is literally all that. There's even a church. There's even like a more powerful religious organization that does it as well, and is in league with the political ally, like the political people in power. Like, it is all of, and I mean, this stuff has been happening for centuries. Like to say that metaphor is relevant now is true. It was also relevant, 1,000 years ago. Nah, maybe that's too many. A few hundred years ago, right? But like, so they're pulling from past and present and predicting the future on some level. But
yeah,
it is all exactly this stuff, like censorship, stoking anxiety and fear in order to control people and in order to set up specific narratives or specific dynamics, like power dynamics. All of this stuff, like it is insane how like it feels like if someone was to give it Game of the Year and not understand that this I mean, it literally is in the name. Also, it's called Metaphor.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah.
I mean, the game is called Metaphor. Like, it is so blatant.
And doesn't it have like a meta story as well, where it's like all this stuff is bleeding into reality, like the actual fantasy of the world that you're learning about is also somehow connected to reality.
The nature of that is obscured for a lot of the game, and even still, they haven't put in like the final couple of puzzle pieces for me in that. But like, explicitly, it is related to our world. And by the way, in their world, they have a fantasy, finger quotes, universe that is our world. So, I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's really just brilliant. I mean, it is genius. But
it seems very cool.
Yeah, I need to. I know Brandon is probably the only person we've known who's played that. Actually,
yeah, I think he beat it.
I think Mason was playing it as well. I should ask him what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, I would like to talk about that with someone once I've seen the end. But I'm 66 hours, I think, now, and I'm in the final dungeon. So
nice. So
I really shouldn't. Well, yeah, I think there's a little bit you can do after, like post game, like end game content that you can do after, as well.
Got you.
But yeah, it does feel like I'm right there. This last dungeon is so fucking long. I've been in it for probably 3 hours.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay.
Oh, one thing I wanted to touch on too, for Blue Sky, I noticed that there is a lot of critique about Blue Sky feeling very Reddit. First of all, yes, it is very Reddit.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It is very Reddit, but also what comes with that is a higher level of quality per post. I will say that.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the quality of me scrolling through Blue Sky is insane. These two fucking sites look exactly the same, Twitter and Blue Sky, but I could literally cover up the top of my screen and I would know exactly what site I was on just based off of the first couple of posts. Just because people are actually like posting shit with like real substance and not like, it doesn't feel like I'm being inundated with like slop. And I mean, like there's no fucking bots, at least as far as we can tell, right? But there's no obvious bots. But Blue Sky is basically operating their platform off of the idea that there will never be like a insane amount of bots saturating the posts that are being made on the site.
And
so
I agree with everything you just said. It is very Reddit. I do find myself rolling my eyes at the way people use language on there sometimes, or the way that like, you know, they do that old school Reddit post that's like tough day, here's a cat, you know, like shit like that. You're like, all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really bad memes on
which
there.
Which is fine. I mean, like, you know, like some people do go online to have that kind of engagement, and they shouldn't, you know, have to feel embarrassed about that, even if I think it's embarrassing. But you're absolutely right. Like, I don't see those engagement farm accounts that exist on Twitter that I get so tired of. Like, I've started to block all of them, like Science Girl and like all those like random like
Yeah.
just
I don't
here's a video, and then you go into the replies and it's all other engagement farm accounts posting unrelated videos, and you're just like, I wish I was fucking
what the
dead.
fuck is this? Yeah, like it feels like you have I don't even know, like you've gone to a completely separate world.
I know.
It's very strange with like no real human beings. But yeah, I don't know if they're like actively suppressing those types of accounts, like you said, like the engagement farming accounts, because I don't see them anywhere. But it might just be because I haven't expanded the bubble that I'm in on Blue Sky enough yet. But I'm following like a lot of people. So
maybe can you monetize Blue Sky? I wonder if it's just the fact that there's just no monetization right now.
I think there is zero monetization across the site, even for them, even for the Blue Sky owners. So
that's kind of sick.
So yeah,
it's kind of awesome. I mean,
so I don't know. Of course, like it's got to happen at some point. I don't know how they plan on doing it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
their server fees must be climbing rapidly.
They need to just have a subscription model. I feel like a subscription model is like fine, right? Don't
yeah. I mean, yes,
that's the cleanest way to go about it.
The way the tough thing about subscription models for websites as opposed to like content is, how do you make the website not totally unusable for the people who aren't subscribers, right? Like Twitter. Like Twitter has made the website unusable if you're not a subscriber, because then you get all those ads that are like just
posting feels worthless because you don't float to the top, and like yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting, but
I feel like it would have to be just some sort of like extension of like, hey, do you like us? Please support us, and then that would be it. That's like the only way. Because I can't think of like what other features would like you said, like would you gain that wouldn't cause like other people to be like, I don't want to use the site.
I guess they could do it. They could do it like Nitro, I suppose. Like, I mean, I don't really think the Nitro model is perfect or even really that great, but I mean, it is kind of like
a lot of people buy it.
Like, yeah, so if you like us, support us, and you get some bonus features.
Yeah.
And cosmetic stuff. Yeah.
It works really well with Discord, because there are some things where it's like, obviously this would be the feature you get, right? Like higher quality streaming, greater amount of emotes, like shit like that.
By the way, did you know I kind of have known this for a while, but I forgot. You can use your own domain. If you own a domain, you can use it on
Blue Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it fucking cool? I love that. I think that shit's really, really sick.
I think I might use my domain.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I haven't looked up how to do it, but I might do it.
Can you do group messaging on Blue Sky?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That would be crazy if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should. I should find out.
Big Blue Sky fan. I am. I'll be buying stock as soon as that is available.
I think. I'm leaning in the direction of just deleting Twitter and moving on. I mean, the only reason I don't is just because there's definitely some really good humor on Twitter that I come across occasionally, and I like having the group chat with all of us in it.
Yeah.
But scrolling through Twitter is like. It's like pricking yourself with a needle over and over again. Like,
it's awful.
every single time I see something that I hate, I take psychic damage. Like it is truly, it's truly insane.
I think even at a base level, the algorithm just fucking sucks, dude. Like I'll see like repeat posts coming up on my feed and like shit, like I don't know, just like really basic stuff where I'm just like, this is garbage.
Yeah, it is. It has become extremely weak. Okay, Stalker 2. Let's wrap that up. I would say
10 out of 10 game of the year.
It is.
How high do you think that's gonna hit for you?
Oh man, I was just having this thought before we started recording today. High. I think it's gonna be high.
Yeah.
I mean, So we didn't really get to talk about this. There are a lot of issues. Obviously the game runs like poop if you do not have a good computer, which we both do.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what are you getting? Because I'm getting around 90.
Yeah,
with my ultra wide, so I don't know.
I'm in the hundreds for sure. Are you using FrameGen? I assume so.
Yes,
I kind of feel like you have to.
Yeah, I'm using it.
Yeah, I'm probably at 120 to 140 on average. It feels good once you get it dialed in. But I would say that I didn't mess with any of the graphics settings. Like I left everything at what it defaulted to, which I think was the highest. But I did mess around with like different tiers of FrameGen. I think I'm using balanced right now. I might switch to quality and sacrifice some frames just for a little bit of clarity of image because I do see some artifacting.
Okay.
But it's not that noticeable. It's mostly like a little glowy halo around some like vegetation and stuff if you turn your camera kind of quick.
I was getting white specks on the ground textures. I don't know if you were getting that at all.
Yeah, okay. I have seen that.
All right.
I made me
not fucking crazy.
No, it made me a little nervous about
your graphics card.
Yeah, I was like, oh
yeah,
God.
I did this. Yeah,
but no, I did notice that. There's also, there's the white speck effect when you get irradiated. So there's that.
Oh wait, maybe that is what it is.
Yeah, if you have any radiation whatsoever, white specks start to form on your screen, and they get more and more severe the more radiation poisoned you are.
It just looks like really bad artifacting.
It does, yeah.
When it's against the grass,
it's not a good effect. But there's also white. There is texture flickering in the game. Like I've noticed it many times. Mostly on wall textures, it seems like, but I've seen.
Dude,
it
have you noticed some textures are like crazy though? Like you'll like look at something and be like, "This is fucking HD. What the fuck is happening?"
The average quality of textures in the game is insanely high. All the vegetation looks amazing. All the weapons. Dense. Oh my God, dude, the weapons look fucking meticulously scanned in. Good animations, I think, overall as well. I like the ragdoll is kind of funny. I remember Stalker's ragdoll was like really floaty originally. And now it feels like almost too far in the opposite direction. Like they dropped.
You think they're too heavy?
They're like a little heavy. I don't know. It's very funny. The one thing, dude, what game was I playing where this was also the case? It might have been Call of Duty. I love that weapons react with ragdoll now. Like the physics just feel really integrated. Like in Call of Duty, it felt really cool when you would drop somebody and their gun would like kind of fall in a funny way.
Oh yeah,
and that happens in Stalker as well. And I really like that. I also like. I mean, dude, have you noticed like if you're sneaking around, and I don't know if you've done any stealth stuff, but I have a silencer for the pistol, so I've been fucking around with that. And if you reload a magazine and you're standing on like a loud floor, that shit sounds like you just jumped up and down 97 times, especially in an echoey area. Like the way the soundscape interacts with physics is really impressive to me.
Yeah.
Because your magazine hitting the ground is like super loud. There are some annoying bugs with the way positional audio works. Have you noticed any of that?
Yeah, I would say I have. I really like all I noticed was that it's a little hard to pinpoint exactly where the fuck shit is coming from.
Yep.
But that like I don't know. In my mind, I'm just thinking, oh well, I guess that doesn't work as well as it does. But maybe just growing up on games, that's just how audio used to be all the time.
It's true.
It's definitely it definitely is not as precise as like most modern games. I will give it that. Yeah.
No, it's tough. A lot of guys and sounds sound like they're right next to you when they're actually pretty far away, and vice versa. So it's kind of funny.
Or like you'll be listening to someone like through a window, and then you'll just like step to the side like maybe 2 or 3 feet, and now that there's a wall in between you and the people, like now you can't hear them. That's like shit like that will happen. Like
or it sounds like they're like a million miles away, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
No, you're right about that. So
which is okay.
It is okay, but they could stand to work on it, especially when the sound is one of the things that's like a defining characteristic of the Stalker games.
Yeah.
Like the quality of the sound, all the weapon sounds are pretty
Dude,
good.
I was just about to say that. I mean, what they have nailed, they fucking knocked out of the park, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's like you said, like it's so characteristic of the games. Like I was like taken back so hard the first time I was shooting the pistol because I was like,
Yeah.
yes, like this is exactly how it felt.
And
They just nailed it.
the weather sounds, like wind blowing, the leaves
Oh,
rustling, all the
yeah.
anomalies.
I just had my first like anomaly storm and I was like, this is so good, dude.
Yeah.
The greenish, like yellowish, whitish tint that goes across like the field and stuff, and like you can see all the debris getting kicked up, and
Yeah.
it's so cool. So fucking cool.
Yeah, and there's like a trigger point in the main story that I'm not sure if you're at yet, but for your first ever emission, like deadly emission, they kind of make it like a scripted event as part of the story. After that, the leash is off, like it'll just happen randomly. And when it starts happening and you're not near a town and maybe like in my case in the middle of a fucking firefight, it's insane. Like like because emissions are deadly, everybody knows, so the AI will automatically script them all to run inside like what would be considered shelter, which is pretty much just any building that doesn't have holes in it. Like a hole in the fucking roof or something. It can have windows, like that's fine. You just need to be away from the windows. But I was in a firefight outside near like a huge structure. Everyone ran inside and we continued the firefight inside while the emission was raging outside. And
That's
it was
sick.
so fucking sick. Like we stopped shooting each other just to get inside the building to resume shooting each other. It was
really cool.
Fucking cool. So yeah, I mean the weather stuff. I mean, have you gotten struck by lightning yet?
No, I had lightning strike right next to me,
Yeah.
but I in my mind I was like, oh, okay, well I guess it can't actually hurt you. But I mean, like if it can actually fucking strike you,
Yeah, it'll hurt you. Yeah.
god damn it,
It
dude.
scared the shit out
I've
of
died
me, too.
like I think I've died like 8 times already.
Oh yeah.
So
I've
only played for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I think I put. Let me look at my thing. Yeah, I've probably died 20 times, and usually anomalies. Although you will get fucked up in some fights occasionally.
Yeah, I was surprised, dude. I was like, holy fuck. I was unloading on the invisible ones. I forget what they're called, but I was unloading on them. And that shit was really, really fucking hard to take down.
I have about 10 hours. 10.7 is what Xbox says. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, the mutants will take you out. The guys, I mean, you can definitely get jumped in a firefight and go down. But I would say overall, I die more to mutants, like the invisible guys, especially.
I mean, you can one shot the bandits and shit.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
which is nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, there's the game does a good job of making things feel like very organic for you. Like Warlock, the dude from the first town, was like, "I need you to shake this guy down for me for some money that he owes me."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay." So I go to find the guy, and there's like a bunch of people outside this guy's house who he also owes a fuck ton of money. And they were like, "We need you to go in there and shake him down." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna fucking do that." And then they started trying to fucking shoot at me, and I was like, "What the hell?" And so I killed all of them, went inside, and then told the guy to give Warlock his money. But like things like that, I'm like, they do a good job of making this shit feel like very organic, you know?
That's so funny. Yeah, there's actually the other way that quest can play out is actually I think cooler even.
Oh really?
Which is if you agree to do it and then you go talk to the other guy, he'll be like, hey, listen. I'll tell you where the stash is, but next to the stash is on a high up place. It's on the water tower. Next to the stash is a scoped rifle. Go up there, get the scoped rifle, and then just fucking take these guys out from up there. And you're like, all right, dude.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And yeah, it's fucking sick, dude.
That is so much cooler. That's so unfair. They were literally, I didn't know who these guys were, and they were like, "I want you to do my bidding for me." I'm like, "No, what the fuck?"
No, for sure. I and you'll come across that a few times where different versions of things can happen a little differently. Like there's a guy later on. Did you do the Poppy Field quest yet?
That's the next thing that I'm going to be doing.
Okay, I won't tell you then. But there's some cool ways. There's like a few different ways that can play out, and one of them there's I loaded a few times to see the different interactions, and there is an objectively, I guess, there's like a morally correct way, I guess I would say. A morally, well, whatever. I mean, morals in the zone are shaky at best, but what I mean is like personally, the way you feel about how you did something. There's like a better way of doing it. Then there's like an objectively you get the most out of it way of doing it. And then there's like a negative, like a straight up, this is true evil way of doing it. And by the way, it does seem like different NPCs will show up in different areas of the zone and remember what you did. Like a guy that I helped out early on, a few different guys that I've helped out have showed up later and been like, hey man, I didn't get the chance to give you anything last time, but like here's some money or a weapon or something. Like it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
And even then, if some of them have ties to factions, your faction rep will go up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like it goes down. Like, I guess mission stuff, choosing factions through missions does seem like it affects things, but just killing random guys out in the woods where no one would know doesn't seem like it affects anything. So there is that, I guess.
Okay. I do like that a lot of this stuff is happening in the background without our knowledge.
Yeah, it does make it kind of hard to figure out what affects what, right? But yeah. I mean, and by the way, I mean, the other major bug that everybody's mad about is that the A-Life system doesn't exist. I don't know if you've seen conversations about this online, but A-Life is, for those that don't know, just like a quick and dirty version. It's their AI engine they used. Remember like when Oblivion was coming out and they were like, all of our NPCs have real lives and they move around the environment independently of you.
And in reality, they just do the same things over and over again every day.
Yeah, which I mean, to be fair, like, yeah, people have routines and it is kind of cool that stuff can happen. Also, in Oblivion, by the way, NPCs can totally die out in the woods alone and you just don't have access to their quest, which I think is really funny. And I think like a lot of people got mad about that, which is why when Skyrim was coming out, they like walked that back a bit. But I thought that stuff was always really cool. Stalker did that, but times 1 million, where they really just went in. So every NPC just does their thing. Like they just go out and do their thing on their own, except for like quest critical, like main quest critical NPCs. So like old Stalker games, legit faction wars would happen and be resolved without your involvement at all. Different things, different characters could live or die or, go out there and just go missing forever and you'll never know what happened to them, like shit like that. It was kind of a big deal and the game was keeping track of this stuff independently of you, all the time. So like, it was really cool and people got really attached to the way A-Life worked. It doesn't seem to be working as well in this.
Has it been implemented or people just think it's not working?
Well, that's kind of the gray area thing is like, okay, it seems like maybe GSC Game World has changed what the A-Life system is supposed to be a little bit, but somebody noticed, and I did not verify if this is true, but I saw this on a thread. I think it was on the Stalker subreddit. Some people noticed that they removed mention of the A-Life system from their Steam store page, like the weeks leading up to release. So it could be that they intended to get it working and it's just not working right now. But to me, it definitely does seem like it's just not even implemented. Really, like doesn't really seem like characters exist kind of out randomly in the zone. Like you will definitely come across random people right out like in the wilderness. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like you will come across random guys who will help you if you get attacked by dogs or something, or will be in firefights. Like you will come across that stuff, but it feels like it's kind of randomly generated as opposed to a larger system that's occurring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. The main thing that people are pissed about, again, I don't want to give away too much. So there's a zone that you will go to soon as part of the story. It's kind of a military-ish base. If you go there before the story happens, which I did, so I experienced this. If you go there before the story tells you to go there, you will walk in, get in a bunch of firefights with military guys, start looting and meandering around the base, only to realize, one, you can't really go anywhere. All the doors are locked because they don't want you to go in yet. So it's kind of annoying. Two, all of the guards will just start respawning because they need to be there when you go there for the story.
Oh, yeah.
So like you will be walking around the base and guys will just spawn in an area you just cleared. This seems to be making it, I found it kind of hilarious and kind of annoying for sure. But this seems to be making people so frothing at the mouth angry on the Stalker subreddit that people are just like, just don't play this game for like the next 6 months until they fix this stuff. Which is funny to me.
Well, things like that doesn't seem like there is any true fix for that.
It seems like the true fix for that would be just the game reacts a little bit more smartly to how they handle the AI and the spawning in of individuals, right? So like, okay, the game can acknowledge, okay, you're here. You're not really supposed to be here right now, but we'll just let you kill everyone, not go inside the base. I mean, it's annoying that the doors are locked, but whatever. All games do that on some level. Open world games just kind of have to be that way. Or they create like an invisible wall or an insurmountable obstacle, right? Which they could do. Maybe that's the smarter solution. But like, but what should happen is you go in, you kill everyone, you clear it out, and you go, oh, I guess there's nothing here. And then you leave, and then when you go back for the story, there's just more guards, right? That's explainable, and it doesn't break your immersion as much as, oh, I went inside of a building, and the minute I left that building, now there's like 90 more guys out here. How did they all get here?
Oh, see, I figured that this was something that was already occurring, like with a decent amount of time having passed.
No. This was like 30 seconds or less. Sometimes there's even clips online where
okay.
I did see this a couple of times, but I didn't see it this bad. There's a clip online of a guy going inside the base and then him looking out of one of the windows and watching the guards blink into existence.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
I saw that on V. I mean, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and the people who are posting that and are the most mad about it are one of two groups. They're either the type of people who really like riling other people up, and so they post something like this out of context. So people just think this is happening all the time.
Yeah.
Or it's the super fans who are mad that this is evidence that A-Life isn't really happening, right? Because the way A-Life worked would have prevented this.
There would be no spawning in period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, it is interesting. But
I think I would be a little disappointed if they plan on implementing A-Life like back into the game at a later period. I would be a little disappointed because I'd be like, oh man, I wish this was around like during my first playthrough. But I mean, at the moment, it's not really something.
Yeah, it's not bothering me.
Yeah.
So, but I think, to be honest with you, I do think that this game will probably, like, it's like Cyberpunk, right? If you played this in a year and a half, you'd probably have a better experience than you do right now.
Have they said anything about the continued development of this game, or is this something that
Oh yeah,
because I'm willing to park it and wait if that was like a thing.
Well, I mean, no, there's no roadmap or anything like that, but they have mainly they've posted a thing on the website that says, "Hey, here's what we're fixing." So they are doing a bunch of bug fixes, but they haven't mentioned A-Life at all, and they haven't mentioned AI or anything like that people seem to be upset about. So, hard to say, but they definitely will make it more stable. That's for sure. I mean, they'll get rid of a lot of the bugs. Apparently, there's some soft lock bugs that get in the way of quest completion and things like that. I haven't run into any of that stuff yet. But there's definitely been some funny little bugs that have occurred in my playthrough that haven't broken the game for me yet. I probably will just finish this game now, how it is. And the way, I mean, this game doesn't seem that long. I think if you focus mostly on the story, it's a 30, 40 hour game. I will probably do another playthrough, a different faction next time, and see what the differences are then. I'll do that in 2-3 years, when I could experience it kind of fresh again. And if there are any
Yeah,
improvements, then I'll get to experience them at that time. So
for sure, for sure.
um, so that's Stalker. We'll probably talk a bit more about it closer to end of the year time. But I mean, if the game stays strong like this, it will definitely be on a high position in my game of the year discussion. So
Yeah, nice. I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did, especially this being like a darling franchise of
yeah,
yours.
yeah, absolutely.
It's really, really nice to see just how well they nailed it in so many different key areas.
Yep.
I think if people are really lamenting the non-existence of certain features, I think they're just willfully or accidentally ignoring just how much of the game was done incredibly well.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree completely. Did you finish Silent Hill 2?
no, not
Okay.
yet. I actually still need to start it because I wanted to wait until I got the OLED, and then the OLED got
Oh, you haven't played it yet.
pushed back. Yeah, I need to. I
Okay.
need to start it. I plan on
Cool.
starting it sometime today.
Cool.
So
Okay. So we
that'll
can,
be something we can talk about next.
yeah, we can back burner that, and
Yeah.
and then I want to hear your thoughts about Crow Country. That's probably what I'll start after I finish Metaphor.
Yeah, play it. I mean, it was a super quick experience. So go. Yeah, you should play that, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was such a cute. As someone who loves old Resident Evil games, it's good. It hit me like right where I wanted it to.
There
So.
doesn't really seem to be anyone online who has played that game not talking positively about it. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
because truly, if you look at that game, it's one of those things where I'm trying to think of another example, but there are some games where you look at it and then you're like, I know exactly what this game is. And the only
Right,
people who are ever going to purchase it and play it are people who know that they are going to
Exactly.
enjoy it. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, still like it's dude, it's good. That's a good game.
no one who doesn't already like that kind of game is going, I'll give this a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
This
it's
looks
just never gonna
interesting.
happen. Yeah.
There's no fucking way. Yeah.
All I play is Madden and Call of Duty, but I'm gonna check out Crow Country.
This Crow Country.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to. I have like a couple more. What did I have? 9 souls. I need 9 souls and
Nine Souls is coming out on Game Pass. I think it might already have actually.
oh,
I think if it hasn't, then
shot.
it'll be on Game Pass in like a week or so.
let's see, what do we got? Yeah, I guess it'll be coming out relatively 2 days.
Nice. There you go.
So
yeah.
in 2 days it'll be on Game Pass. Fuck
I
yeah,
saw
let's go.
someone we know was playing that as well.
That was Posel. Brandon Posel's been playing that.
Okay, nice.
And then
yeah.
I want to give some time to however the fuck you say this, 1000X Resist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I want to give a little bit
dude.
of time to that.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of game that it'll either click with you or it doesn't. Gameplay wise, as we said in my rant about it, I mean it's not going to be the strongest thing, but the story, if you like the story, it will be one of those things that you will see through to the end. Like a couple sessions in, if you keep going back to it, you're just going to be like, now I just have to know. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's one of those that I don't imagine a lot of other people are going to be discussing game of the year time. Like I'm just curious how many people have actually played that game.
Not a lot. I mean, the shit, dude. I feel like the only people who have played that game are people who are interested in like the indie genre, indie area of video games. Maybe this is another one where it's like people just look at it and they're like, I know I'll like that, and then they play it because it also has overwhelmingly positive reviews.
It does.
So
yeah, you're right. I'm looking at it now.
And then another one is Slitterhead, which has come out to really positive reviews, and I was excited about that. I would say definitely going to play that game by the end of the year.
Yeah, I've seen people talking about that game as though it's like the hidden gem of the year kind of thing. Like, even though, hey, new game from the guy who made all these other famous games isn't exactly hidden gem, but like, I think what I mean by that is like it's hidden under all the jank. Like, it seems like that game is fundamentally in a very strange place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems kind of broken. I don't know if you've watched anything about it. It doesn't look like something that I would have a lot of fun with. I'll put it that way.
I saw the trailer that was
Yeah.
shown at the Summer Games Fest thing.
Yeah.
And after that, I was on board. I was like, I want to play this. I just want to
watched-
play it. I don't think I'll like severely enjoy it, but I definitely want to play it.
I watched, I'm trying to remember who, maybe it was Nextlander or something like that, like someone in that vein, playing a little bit of it, and I was like, this looks really bad, is like kind of aggressive, but it looks like so many interesting ideas that are just not quite coming together.
To me, I was looking at it and I was like, this feels like a PS2 game that jumped into 2024. That's like that was the vibes that I got. So I was like, I'm down. Fuck it, you got me.
What are let me see what the reviews are. Very positive reviews for Slitterhead. Wow.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This could be
top review. Let's see. I'd recommend it if you pine for the days of risky and niche video games. Make no mistake, this is a video game with odd design choices for better or worse. Objectively, however, the soundtrack, with some tracks done by Akira Yamaoka, is a banger. And then it gets a thumbs up, 16.8 hours on record, from Steam user Emissary from Hell. Thank you, Mr. Emissary from Hell.
That is all I need.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
When was did Kingdom Come Deliverance get pushed back? Or did it come out already and I just didn't even notice it?
No, there's no way. I don't think that game is coming out anytime soon.
I haven't seen anything about it. It did get pushed back. February 11, 2025.
Was it supposed to come out end of the year originally?
Yep. Because during the Summer Games Fest, this was another one that was shown with a release date at the end of 2024.
Did you finish the first one?
No, fuck no. But I enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, I feel like that's one of those that like you kind of would want to see that through before you. It's the same character, right?
Is it the same character? I don't know. I truly have no. I have no clue.
That's the funny thing is, like, I'm looking at the promotional images, and because the guy in the first game just looked like any guy.
Yeah, he's a white guy.
Yeah, in this it also looks just like any guy. So I don't know.
I'll do my research. If I am required to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, I will still not do that and play 2.
The only reason I didn't really like playing 1 was because it felt kind of broken around launch. So
it was for sure, in a charming way. It was also, dude, that game was like, I don't know. It's such a unique fucking experience, man. Yeah. I really enjoyed that game. I didn't finish it, but I did really, really enjoy my time with it.
It's kind of like Stalker, honestly. Like some of the same.
In a sense, yeah. I definitely see what you're getting at.
Some of the same ideas, anyway, about what they want to communicate. You know.
Just all of there's a lot of intricate systems that they ended up putting in place in that game that cause it to feel alive and very much real whenever you're playing it. Like you don't feel like when your shit gets fucked up and you're limping from like one town to another and it takes you 20 minutes, you don't feel like this is shit gameplay. It's more like, this is exactly what should be happening right now. You're just like, this is hell.
Yeah, that's honestly, in Stalker, I found myself relearning that I need to not pick up every box of ammo I see, because I quickly became so encumbered and unwilling to drop anything that I was just like hobbling, and was like, I have to break my habit of this right now.
Yeah.
Like I just have to stop picking things up that I don't absolutely need.
That was another thing that it nailed right out the gate, was that feeling of like, I do not have that much shit on me. Yeah, like I really need to be careful about how much ammo I'm using at any given moment.
Yeah.
So
it goes quick. I mean, you'll find a lot of ammo, which people are complaining about. Like it doesn't feel that challenging, but you'll find a lot of ammo, but then you'll realize that, I mean, when you've got an AK that has 30 round magazines, 100 bullets suddenly doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, well, we will then talk about some more games that we are getting into next time, when Crossley is back with us. Hopefully he's not too mad when he sees this podcast go up in his feed. If he is, we love you, baby, but we got some stalkering to do, you know. So yeah, appreciate the chat. Looking forward to getting some Silent Hill 2 impressions. I may boot that up as well over the coming week and try to get some time in so we can talk about it. I think the Steam sale is going to be next week, right? Like it'll probably start on Monday. Oh
shit. Yeah. I might be able to pick up a couple things from that. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like the Steam sale will start Monday, and then I'll buy it and just start running through it a little bit, because as much as I do want to play Dragon's Dogma 2, it does kind of feel like another Stalker-ish game where you're just meandering around, and that's the joy of it. And I think 2 of those at the same time might make me go insane.
So, yeah, true.
So there may not be a lot of time for me to get.
I think I'll be waiting on Dragon's Dogma 2 Definitive Edition. Sadly, I think that will be the play that I'll be going for.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, it'll probably, you know, was Dark Arisen an expansion or was it a whole different version?
I think it was an expansion, wasn't it? I'm almost positive it was an expansion.
Yeah.
And I think that expansion also added in like fast traveling and stuff too.
It added in a bunch of stuff. You're right. Yeah. So I mean, you could be the smart one for that. Yeah.
What I want them to be able to do is still utilize the original mechanic that they had, which was the it was like the Dragon's Blight or something. Which seemed like that was a pretty cool mechanic in theory. I guess it didn't play out all that well in terms of just how damaging it was for a lot of people's playthroughs. But hopefully they'll be able to implement that in just a more fluid way. But yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I don't really know anything about it, which I feel like is almost better.
So the main thing that I got from it, do you want me to tell you or no?
I mean, you're talking about Dragon's Blight specifically, or the because I don't really know anything about how the game functions generally, but I did read a little bit about Dragon's Blight. Like your pawns can get infected by it, and then they become kind of almost working against you in a way.
Yeah, and apparently like either they'll attack you or they'll just like die, and then not only that, but it can also spread to the cities.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like people will wake up one day and their whole town will be empty. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I but you know, I never really read too much into it beyond that kind of surface level understanding of it. So
that's about all I know too. So
okay. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea. It's a cool mechanic. And I understand there's like ways to resurrect the town and stuff like that. So you can, it's not like irreversible. It might just be hard to reverse.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think stuff like that is really cool. I just think, yeah, you might be right about waiting. I don't know. I'll have to think about that a little bit more as we get deeper. Because I feel like the further away I get from the game of the year, like, you know what I mean? Like I want to get it out of the way so I know what I can talk about for the game of the year stuff, which is a funny reason to want to play a game. But I feel like if we get past that point and I still haven't played it, then at that point I'm just gonna wait. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So we'll see. All right, man. Good chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. We've been getting a lot of new listeners recently. I don't know what's going on.
Shit.
Hey, if you're new, thanks.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well. Yeah, it's I think it's fun. I never envisioned making any money from this, but I do think it's cool to have people who want to listen to us ramble. So
yeah, I agree.
It's fun. Okay. Well, that will be it. We'll probably be back. I guess we'll do next weekend. I don't know. Are you might be busy actually. It's a holiday.
Oh shit! Yeah, I think we're hanging out. I think B. Paul and Train are going to be in town.
Sick.
So maybe we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on. All right. Peace.